We're going to Wisconsin. Deb Curtis, you're up.
I am up. Can you hear me fine?
You can.
Hey, Deb.
You can. Well, thank you, Brian. Your answers this whole time has been wonderful. Speaking of worship teams, I'm glad to hear you played bass on the worship team. Do you still play bass on the worship team?
I do. So I don't there anymore. After our third child, Henry, when he came along, no more. I came back home and I probably did 15, 20 years of that, and just what a cool experience.
Well, there's a few musicians here with Top. I can mention Chasen. He's a good artist. I've sang on worship teams and in bands. So thank you for sharing your faith. My question to you, my real question, do you have a favorite scripture that you live by and or perhaps quote to others, that maybe need to lift?
Yes. So I do. And I go back to, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people just kind of set that aside and generalize it. When we would run the Cooper test in college, it was 2 miles in 12 minutes. And I'll never forget, every year I would be running it and there were people around me, ahead of me and behind me and around me. And I would be saying that scripture as I went through, and it got me through what I say is like to hell and back. Because any of you that know that, I wasn't the fastest runner. That run in and of itself will put you in such a pain cave that's the one that I look back to this day. And then I look at it now being older is, man, look at all the things we talked about today, that without Christ in my life, without that anchor and that faith, man, where would I be? I don't want to know, because I know the teenage version of Brian that had all these issues and all these things. And I'm like, thank goodness, God found me, as I say.
That's right. And it's funny you mentioned you used that scripture when you were in that race. I ran a marathon and I am not a runner. And I must have said that scripture, I don't even know how many times just to finish it. And I did. It wasn't pretty, but I did. But that's a great one. Thank you.
It's huge. I'll tell you this, I'm about to start this journey. One of my kind of mentors and friends in a small group, we're actually going to start going through all the Proverbs for 31 days and just go through that.
Nice.
And so that's one I'm going to anchor back into.
When you said Cooper test, I saw Kim Brady, I think, had a visceral reaction. So she played soccer at Cal Berkeley, right? And I saw her grimace as soon as you said that. So
that or the beep
I
test,
didn't even know what it was, but now I do.
Man.
Oh, don't even bring up the beep test, Brian. My goodness. No.
Right?
The Cooper test is absolutely gut-wrenching, literally gut-wrenching, and the beep test is the same. Yeah, no thanks. Yeah, I'm happy I'm retired.
Hey, listen, I'm a goalie. What do I need to run for? Like, what's the purpose?
Thank you, Scott. Thank you.
Doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Did Joe Jacoby, we got an Olympic gold medalist on here. Joe, did you have to do any of this stuff? You were in a canoe. You were in a kayak.
I'm a terrible person to ask about these things. We didn't have these same tests, but the funny thing, coming from a sport like whitewater canoeing, which had all this unpredictability in the medium, I kind of liked the running tests and the things that had like, or even just lifting weights. Like, you kind of knew what you had to do. With canoeing, it's very hard to sort of, to kind of program that in. And it's just like, what feels good, but it's very hard to kind of bring that to to something very tangible. It's a feeling, but not like lifting weights or the Cooper test. I kind of like that stuff. Sorry.